So it's the end of 2024. Due to, some of the Solana networks, congestion issues and so forth, Jito's become very central in how people, I guess, are trying to get transactions to land on the network. And you're mulling your next move, which eventually becomes BAM. So walk me through what the considerations were. Were there other directions you thought about going with Jito, and why you settled with BAM, and then what BAM is?
Yeah. I would say that one thing is we know we were starting to look on a multi-year time horizon, and it's like, okay, we built this tech stack. We were just fighting fires 24/7 because just people were abusing it. And we started to look out how fast is Solana going to be in 3 years or 4 years, and started to realize that the current things that we were doing and the current architecture wasn't going to scale to 2K, 5K, 10K TPS. So we wanted to make our system faster, and also we wanted to make things more transparent too. The block engine is all closed source, and we just wanted to build something that was transparent. I would say we also wanted to decentralize a little bit, just because that is, there's a lot that goes through the block engine, and I think that if we can open source it and try to decentralize it, it would just be a lot better for the network. People can make modifications to it that are hopefully positive for the network. And so then it's okay, how do we actually decentralize this? How do you know that people are running what they say they're running? And then started to go down the TE rabbit hole and saw what Flashbots is doing with BuilderNet. So we talked to them a little bit and started doing our research. And I would also say that we wanted to try to focus less on MEV and more on value creation. So we have this infrastructure. We've learned a lot on the engineering side. We've been talking to a lot of users and applications, and what can we actually build that users and applications on Solana want. So I would say it's the main reasons for starting BAM would be open sourcing it, more transparency, trying to decentralize it, trying to get people to modify it and focus on creating value for applications. And basically we created BAM, which is it's a newer a proposal that we're making to change the way that transactions are kind of sequenced on the network to provide more privacy, more transparency, try to decentralize what we do a little bit, and then just focus on value creation. So how, what do people want, and can we build something that they will find valuable? So, and then the transparency is pretty important too. So making sure that people understand what's going on with their transactions. BAM tries to solve a lot of problems that we saw with our current architecture, and then also on Solana itself.
Mm-hmm. So maybe as a window into what BAM is and explaining it, let's just start very broad. So currently you have the Jito Solana client. It's that kind of the original Solana client, but forked with some MEV modifications. And the vast majority of Solana validators currently use Jito Solana. My understanding is that in the coming weeks or months, there will be an upgraded version of that is the BAM Jito Solana client, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of the most basic difference to Solana. Is a lot of validators will probably be, well, it'll be interesting to see how many. I would assume a lot will be switching over to this upgraded Jito Solana client. Once you're a validator running that BAM client, Lucas, what is different from the kind of block engine that exists today and the current Jito Solana client versus BAM?
Yeah. So you can kind of think of BAM as there's the main Solana kind of scheduler that's in there. I think they have 2 different versions. People write their own, and then FireDancer has a few different variations. It's basically that scheduler is running on a server and is trying to sequence transactions, and then it will stream those transactions. And it's doing all the sequencing inside of TEs. And for those that don't know, TEs are trusted execution environments. Basically, it's like an encrypted part of a processor where you can't actually like read the contents of what's going on inside. It also provides attestations. So you can say like, okay, this image hash is running, and you'll be able to go to the BAM repo and like look at, you'll be able to like match the hashes so you know what version's running. So yeah, that will be doing the sequencing, and then it will forward the packets to the validator, and the validator will execute them in FIFO. So there's like a few technical changes there, but essentially I'll try to keep it a little higher level because I like to get down in the weeds a lot. But essentially, like the sequencing of these transactions is happening inside of a server or inside of a system that is fully encrypted, and it you can basically verify the code that's running, so you know the sequencer and like the code that's running and how it works and everything. And then by pulling it out, we can basically iterate super fast on it and provide the transparency that you don't get. And then the other thing is plugins, which a lot of people have questions on. So yeah, that's kind of it at like a super high level.
Yeah, and it's an interesting, maybe one more high level comment is just that kind of the whole ball game is the way that transactions are ordered, which you wouldn't think. It's like, my transaction makes it to the blockchain, I get to make the trade I want to make. But within a block, all these transactions that are included, there's a large amount of value that's created or lost for different stakeholders based on, does my fart coin swap get in at the beginning of the block or the end of the block? And you can get into things like sandwich attacking when, that order flow is manipulated in a way that it shouldn't be. So it kind of sounds like a minor thing of changing the way that transactions are sequenced, but it's actually very important for, who wins and who loses in the Solana trading game.
Yeah. And yeah, it will be like fully open source, so people will be able to understand what's going on now, where today it's like, it's the attribution is extremely difficult. I think you've probably seen like sandwich.me from Ghost Logs team. There's just a lot of games being played that are very hard to figure out what they are and where things are happening. And the goal here is to try to, one, prevent those games, but two, if they're happening, then it will be pretty obvious and you'll be able to shine a light on it.